Imagine a grand hotel lobby late at night. A legendary celebrity arrives quietly, only to face a confrontation that could send shockwaves through the hospitality industry. What really unfolded? And what secrets came to light? Stick around because you won't want to miss this incredible story. Where are you watching from? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring stories like this. Welcome to Theat Motivation for Success channel, where we share real-life tales demonstrating how a single act of courage can create a ripple effect of change. Got your own inspiring story? Share it in the comments. We'd love to tell it to the world. Now, let's dive into this unforgettable tale. It was close to midnight when Keanu Reeves stepped through the revolving glass doors of the Horizon Skylark Hotel. He wore a simple dark blazer over a slightly rumpled t-shirt, moving with the calm confidence of someone who had clearly endured a long day. The lobby was an expanse of polished marble, softened by subdued lighting and elegant green accents. Outside, city lights sparkled like scattered stars, but inside the quiet, almost expectant air suggested something significant was about to unfold. Keanu had a purpose that night. He had recently acquired the luxury hotel through a discreet business deal, one so quiet that most of the staff remained unaware. Instead of grand ribbon cuttings or star-studded announcements, he chose to witness the property's day-to-day operations without fanfare or special treatment, just pure, unfiltered authenticity. As his gaze wandered, he took in the lobby's modern art displays, the glowing chandelier above, and meticulously arranged potted plants. A soft classical tune floated through the air, the gentle sound of violins adding serenity. Near the far corner of the reception desk, an employee named Cameron, identified by his name tag, arranged white lilies in a tall crystal vase with delicate precision. His every movement was deliberate, almost like an artist at work. Keanu recalled advice he'd once heard from a close friend. The smallest tasks often reveal a person's true character. Cameron's quiet dedication lingered in his mind. After setting the lilies just so, Cameron offered Keanu a polite smile. "Good evening, sir. Are you checking in?" he asked. Keanu nodded, returning the smile. "I might just sit for a moment. It's been a long day." "Of course," Cameron replied with respectful warmth. "Please let me know if you need anything." Keanu sank into a secluded leather armchair in a dimly lit corner of the lobby, releasing a soft sigh. Exhaustion clung to him after a day filled with business calls, a spontaneous charity event, and a quick flight into town. Still, something unshakable had drawn him here tonight. His gut told him he needed to experience this place unobtrusively before making any grand gestures as its new owner. Minutes later, a couple stepped out of the elevator. Likely in their early 40s, Morgan wore an expensive blazer, while Elena dazzled in a sleek cocktail dress and sparkling earrings. Their expressions betrayed the effects of an evening filled with indulgence, fine dining, and perhaps a touch too much wine. Their loud conversation echoed through the mostly empty lobby. "It's unbelievable how these places keep lowering their standards," Elena muttered, pressing manicured nails to her temple. "Even the five-star restaurants aren't what they used to be." Morgan nodded gravely, as if she declared an emergency of epic proportions. "I remember when Horizon Skylark was the best in town. Now, I'm not so sure." Keanu remained seated, one leg crossed over the other, feigning disinterest. But it was impossible to ignore them. The couple approached Cameron at the reception desk, where he was finishing up some evening tasks. "You," Elena snapped, her tone sharp. "We ordered room service earlier. Ridiculous. I want to speak to someone actually in charge here." Cameron raised an eyebrow, but maintained his composed professionalism. "I'm the senior desk attendant tonight, ma'am. How can I assist you?" Elena's lips pressed into a thin line. "I'm not sure you can. Is there someone else available?" The air in the lobby seemed to grow heavier. Keanu's jaw tightened as he recognized the veiled hostility behind Elena's words. It was subtle, but her tone carried an unspoken judgment, one suggesting Cameron somehow didn't meet her standards. Cameron's knuckles whitened slightly against the desk, but his voice stayed calm and steady. "Our night manager isn't on the property right now, but I can absolutely address any concerns you have." Morgan let out a dismissive snort. "We'd rather wait. Let's just say we were expecting someone more suitable to handle our complaint." Keanu felt the tension building, the unspoken bias swirling in the air. It was a situation he knew all too well, moments when people judged him based solely on appearances, from his early acting days to times he quietly rode the subway to avoid attention. Heat rose in his chest, the the familiar urge to step in and reveal his authority as the hotel's owner. But years of experience had taught him one truth. People's true nature often revealed itself when they believed no one was watching. So he stayed where he was, silently observing. "I assure you," Cameron said firmly, his politeness unwavering, "I'm fully capable of resolving any issues with your room service. At Horizon Skylark, we strive for the highest standards." Elena glanced him up and down, her expression one of barely concealed disdain. "Well, this place has clearly gone downhill if you ask me." "Are you new?" Morgan asked bluntly. Cameron opened his mouth as if to respond but hesitated, briefly lowering his gaze. A flicker of hurt, or perhaps anger, flashed across his face before he regained composure. "I've been with this hotel for 5 years, sir," he finally replied. Elena gave a short, dismissive laugh. "Really? That explains a lot about how the management here has changed." Keanu observed from his corner as Cameron took a steadying breath, his shoulders stiffening against the couple's cutting remarks. Yet, his voice remained composed. "Please let me know how I can resolve this for you." Morgan's expression turned icy. "How about you let us speak to an actual manager tomorrow? Someone who understands the level of service we expect. We'll be filing a formal complaint about you, specifically, and the subpar service overall." Cameron gave a polite nod. "Of course, sir. I'll document your concerns and ensure they're passed along immediately. If there's nothing else I can assist you with." "Oh, you've done enough," Elena snapped, spinning on her heel and heading for the elevator. Morgan followed, casting Cameron one last scornful look before disappearing with her. As the elevator doors closed, Cameron exhaled quietly. His shoulders drooped ever so slightly, betraying the sting of the couple's insults. Yet he returned to his tasks, reorganizing the desk, adjusting the sign-in sheets, and meticulously double-checking bookings. Routine actions that brought little solace, but at least gave him something to focus on. From his seat in the corner, Keanu remained motionless, a storm of emotions brewing within him. His heart pounded with equal parts anger and empathy. What he had witnessed was blatant discrimination. There was no other way to describe it. Keanu had experienced enough prejudice in his life to recognize it instantly. The couple's behavior churned a familiar ache in his chest. He wanted to stand up for Cameron, to call out their conduct on the spot, and make it clear that their actions had consequences. Yet, something told him this night wasn't over. The air still felt charged, like a coiled spring ready to snap. And snap it did, less than an hour later. The elevator chimed, and Elena and Morgan reappeared, now dressed in expensive robes and hotel slippers. Their expressions made it clear they were too agitated to sleep. Elena's flushed cheeks and the tense set of her jaw radiated anger, while Morgan gripped his phone, its glowing screen reflecting faintly in the dim lobby lighting. "You again," Elena said sharply, pointing at Cameron. "Our suite is freezing. We tried fixing the thermostat, but it's obviously broken. We're done. Get us someone else who knows how to handle this, and do it now." Cameron glanced at the clock on the wall. It was well past 1 a.m. His tone remained calm as he responded, "I apologize for the inconvenience. I can have the maintenance team sent up immediately or arrange for you to move to an upgraded room. Don't you dare talk down to us." Morgan snarled, thrusting his phone forward. "I've already documented your behavior earlier tonight, and we've posted it online. Thousands of people have seen it already. You'll regret ever acting like you belong here." Keanu felt a surge of adrenaline. Posted online. A hateful rant, no doubt. The simmering frustration inside him finally boiled over. Slowly, he rose from his seat and made his way toward the desk. This time, he would not stay silent. As Keanu stepped into the light, Elena spun around. For a brief moment, recognition flickered in her eyes, her gaze darting across his face. Her mouth parted slightly, forming a stunned "oh." Morgan stumbled back a step, blinking in disbelief. "Keanu Reeves? What are you doing here?" Keanu nodded politely. "I came here for a quiet evening, but instead, I've witnessed quite the spectacle." For a moment, silence blanketed the lobby, broken only by the faint strains of classical music and the low hum of the hotel's heating system. Cameron's surprise was evident as he stared at Keanu, clearly not expecting him to intervene. Meanwhile, Elena scrambled to compose herself. We didn't realize," she stammered. "We've been guests here for years. We didn't mean." "You posted about him online," Keanu interrupted, his calm tone carrying a subtle edge of authority as he gestured toward Cameron. "Let me see the post." Morgan hesitated, his grip tightening on the phone. It's just we were frustrated. Ensure they feel supported, no matter the circumstances. Cameron's expression softened as he absorbed Keanu's words. That would mean a lot, not just to me, but to everyone who works here. Keanu nodded. People like you are the heart of this hotel. Your professionalism tonight? That's the standard I want to set, and I'll make sure everyone understands it. The two exchanged a brief but meaningful look, a silent acknowledgement of the events that had unfolded. The night's intensity was finally ebbing away. The faint strains of classical music played on as Keanu glanced back toward the elevator where Morgan and Elena had disappeared. You handled yourself with more grace than most could in your position, Keanu said. I'm grateful for that. Cameron allowed a small smile. I try to treat everyone with respect, no matter what. But knowing I have the support of someone like you, that's a game changer. Keanu gave a thoughtful nod before turning toward the lobby doors. He paused, glancing back. Get some rest, Cameron. Tomorrow's a new day, and we've got a lot to change for the better. Thank you, Mr. Reeves, Cameron replied, his voice steady but filled with gratitude. As Keanu stepped out into the cool night air, the city lights glittered like stars overhead. He inhaled deeply, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. It wasn't just about owning a hotel. It was about setting a precedent, about showing that compassion and fairness could coexist with excellence. Cameron's hopeful smile widened. That would mean so much to all of us. These issues have happened before, but management usually just apologizes to the guests and moves on. My complaints never led to any real change. They will now, Keanu reassured him. The following morning, Keanu was in the hotel's conference room. Despite getting only 3 hours of sleep, he felt invigorated. News of the late-night incident had spread, and an air of curiosity buzzed among the staff. Gathering department heads from housekeeping, room service, security, and the front desk, Keanu addressed the group with a warm, approachable demeanor. Let's keep this casual, he said, motioning for them to sit around the table. I want to hear from you. We need to make sure incidents like last night are handled fairly. For everyone. A silence followed before Zoe, the housekeeping manager, broke it with a bold statement. We've lost great employees because they didn't feel protected. Some regular guests think they can treat staff however they want, and management rarely takes our side. Heads nodded in agreement as Zoe continued. Cameron isn't the first to face this kind of hostility. He's just one of the few who stuck around. Keanu leaned forward, his tone resolute. From now on, if a guest abuses or discriminates against staff, I want it documented and I expect immediate action. There will be consequences. Our employees shouldn't have to fear mistreatment just because someone has money or influence. Cameron, seated at the table, cleared his throat. And if a guest tries to ruin an employee's reputation online? That's covered, Keanu replied, tapping the paper in front of him. We'll monitor social media for defamatory or discriminatory posts. When necessary, we'll respond publicly, respectfully but firmly, to defend our team. A ripple of excitement spread through the room. This wasn't just another meeting. This was real change. Later that day, an unexpected visitor stormed into the hotel. Trent Sullivan, one of the previous owners. Red-faced and agitated, he demanded to speak to someone in charge. Spotting Keanu at the reception desk, Trent wasted no time. Mr. Reeves, we need to address the public relations fiasco from last night. The Prestons are longtime clients of the Skylark, and they're threatening to blame us, the former owners, for creating a hostile environment. Keanu remained calm. The only hostility came from the Prestons. They disrespected a dedicated employee because they didn't think he met their standards. Trent bristled. So, you're siding against loyal, high-paying guests? That's not how this hotel built its reputation. Keanu crossed his arms. If your reputation was built on appeasing bullies, then it's time for a new foundation. This hotel will stand for fairness and respect. Trent's expression faltered, and he tried another tactic. Public conflicts like this can be damaging. Social media is already ablaze, and reporters are sniffing around. Keanu raised a hand, silencing him. Handled correctly, this will position the Skylark as a champion of fairness. A reputation far better than one earned by turning a blind eye. Outmaneuvered, Trent left in defeat, muttering about how things used to be simpler. News of the hotel's bold stance spread quickly. Messages poured in from rival hotels, staff from other establishments, and guests who applauded the commitment to fairness. Keanu worked tirelessly, drafting the Fair Hospitality Accord, A set of guidelines that define the rights of employees, responsibilities of guests, and management's duty to uphold them. Days later, Cameron had the honor of hanging a framed copy of the accord in the main lobby. A small crowd of staff clapped softly, and curious guests stopped to read it. The Prestons, having written a formal apology and spoken privately with Cameron, checked out quietly. Their once arrogant demeanor was replaced with a subdued humility. One evening, as the day's bustle faded, Keanu found Cameron arranging flowers in the lobby, purple orchids this time. "Orchids tonight?" Keanu asked with a smile. Cameron grinned. "Yes, trying something new. They remind me of resilience." Keanu nodded, lowering his voice. "How are you holding up?" "It's been a whirlwind." Cameron's expression turned thoughtful. "I'm grateful. It's not every day someone in your position stands up for the staff. You've changed more than a policy. You've changed how we feel about coming to work." Keanu hesitated, then replied, "I didn't do this alone. You and the rest of the staff already held this place together. I just gave you the support you deserved." Cameron's smile deepened as he placed the last orchid in the vase. "That's the best kind of leadership, Mr. Reeves.